Hello, everyone. Before we start the interview, could you please introduce yourselves, where you're from, and which university you're in?
I'm Brendan. I'm a year two LLB undergraduate at the National University of Singapore.
Dr. David. I will be one of the speakers today, and I go to the University of Indonesia.
My name is Muhammad Zahran. I'm from Alexandria, Egypt.
Our first question would be, which moot competitions have you participated in and when were they?
One of them is the International Commercial Arbitration Moot organized by a local firm, Wong Partnership. And this year was my second moot, the Cape Town Convention International Moot.
During my first year, I did the Willem Seavis International Commercial Arbitration Moot, and then I did the Philip C. Jessup Moot Court Competition. My last moot I think it finished last month, is the Foreign Direct Investment International Arbitration Moot.
I've participated in competitions like SLM. It's a competition between law schools in Egypt, and currently I'm taking place in Price Media Law competition.
How is the mooting culture at your university?
The mooting culture in NUS is quite strong. A lot of the year ones start participating very early on, even from the first semester, because we have a mooting and debating club that provides training programs and exposes them to all these mooting competitions. As for whether it's highly regarded, I think for sure, whenever you go for interviews, these are the type of experiences that the recruiters will ask for. And these are talking points across lawyers, not just in litigation, but also in corporate.
For Indonesia more generally, the amount of endorsement that goes for these moots depends. All of our moot competitions are actually sponsored by the university, and we also get training either from our alumni or our faculty members that teaches that specific subject.
At Alexandria University, mooting culture is highly regarded by our law professors. They always encourage our law students to participate in such competitions, as these competitions put the students in the path of practical life, allowing them to apply what they have studied in a case. It improves the writing and oral skills, and as a result, it benefits their academic life.
Now let's get into your mooting experiences. How did you feel when you competed in your first moot competition? Were you nervous as a first-timer or excited to be trying something new? What made you want to join these competitions?
So in my first year, I did commercial arbitration moot. The problem, I did that before we were taught the module on legal research and advocacy. I wanted to get a feeling of the moot experience in a competition setting because it gives me a purpose to level up my skill and everything.
I went to join my first moot without any expectations. I just knew that I wanted to join a moot competition, and so there was less fear than joining my subsequent moot competitions, knowing that there are things at stake: my reputation, my university's reputation. I have experienced no greater excitement than when I first joined. I would say that I'm not the type of person that can just sit in a classroom and focus for a full 3 hours on a lecture. And so I really appreciated the opportunity that I had to moot competitions that's to practice.
I believe that the hardest step to take is the first step. When I competed for the first time, it was so hard and scaring for me to speak before people that I don't know. That's why I was determined to participate in such competitions, seeking to overcome my fear of public speaking and also to improve my legal skills in general.
Did you gain any skills from the competitions? And if you did, of course, how would you apply them to your law school life and classes?
For sure, one thing that Moot teaches us is to learn a whole new area of law very quickly and come up with a very coherent argument that you have to present before a judge. And so for my first experience with aviation law and the Cape Town Convention, it was quite daunting because you refer not only to the convention, but because the issues in the Moot required knowledge of different jurisdictional laws such as English law, Singapore law, Malaysia law, and Indonesia law. So being familiar with another legal system and how they refer to even the preambles in their civil code, those are things that I wouldn't get to learn if I just stayed in my classroom. And so these are things that drove me to participate in that moot.
Mooting has helped me be able to read law literature and focus for a long period of time, just criticizing maybe a piece of literature. And that was something that I really struggled with and I really underestimated going into mooting. This also really helped in class because we'll do a lot of case dissections and also read long books, 500 pages books, and we are given very little time to dissect a case, for example. And so I think that's something that I also see a lot of my classmates who do not moot and are not used to doing a lot of these things. They do struggle with it sometimes. And so I'm grateful that through mooting, I've been able to overcome this struggle.
On the legal aspect, my language language, and my skills, whether in writing and oral, has improved greatly. And on the personal aspect, my skills in dealing with people has grown, and all of this has benefited my academic performance.
Since these competitions can be challenging at times, did you face any issues either in the competition itself or during the preparation process? And if so, how did you overcome them?
As with learning a new area of law, it comes with the issue of finding the resources, especially when you're referring to international treaties and conventions, because they come with their own rules of interpretation that are unique to the statute themselves. So to familiarize ourselves with them, we actually reach out to seniors. But for other issues that I found, it was quite simply because I was taking the role of a respondent, I had to address the claimant's argument directly, and that's how you firstly do well for the moot. And secondly, that is how it is in practice, because they are the ones making the arguments, right?
Something that I struggle a lot during the times that I move is keeping myself motivated for a long period of time. I also have to break the big goal down to attainable steps. And that's something that I learned through the 3 moves that I've done. It's much easier to actually get over the lack of motivation that you face when things get boring, when you're researching the same thing over and over again.
How did you find working with your teammates, and did you get to build friendships with the team or even like learn anything from them?
One of them is actually my primary school friend. So we already knew that we wanted to do this moot together. So it was a very fun experience. But then the last member, we had to reach out to another person who is in our Mooting and Debating Club. So it's our very first time working with that person. But thankfully, he vibed well with our energy and he really suited our work style. But we will still find a way to work around it because everyone tends to have a common goal. And so if we are united in that, we can find a way to arrange something.
I also absolutely agree with what Brendan just said. When you have a common goal, it's easy to work things out. In my experience, I've had teams where the teaming going in and out of the team, we have to switch teammates at certain time where we didn't work well together. At the end of the day, after every move, I find that the people that I move with have been my bestest friends in law school. When you come out the other side, finishing the moot competition, I don't think there's such a thing as not being friends with your moot teammates.
I found working with my teammates was so fun and enriching. We learn, we eat, we hang out. Every one of them has an outstanding legal skill. I was trying to learn the best thing in everyone. I had a teammate she called Ruan. She was brilliant at body language skills. She taught me how to use my body while pleading. So I'm grateful to Moot Courts.
Moot competitions are some of the best ways to gain new experiences with new people and sometimes in different countries. Could you share a memorable memory or any interesting stories you may have?
The Cape Town Convention moot was the first time I actually mooted against people from other universities in other countries. And lawyers, it was very, very interesting because when we first started the 2-hour dialogue, the first 1 hour was them telling us that how you read common law is different from how you read civil law. And then we were a bit lost, but they were very, very patient with us and we are very grateful for their advice. But with the Malaysian team, the way they presented themselves was very fresh to me, especially because that team had 4 people and we only had a team of 3. And how they distributed their time was very, very eye-opening to me.
One of the things that I really look forward to when I join Moot competitions is absolutely the closing or gala night, because that's the time where you actually get to meet the other teams, build your personal links. And during my time where I did this, it was my first year, it was in 2021. It was partially online. It was really fun to meet the teams that you previously met through online meetings. I think I've definitely made some very useful connections through Moot competitions.
Throughout the competition, I met a judge in the Council of State. He told me that he participated in that competition when he was a student in law school. He mentioned that competition affected his work greatly and improved his career. I knew then the importance and the value of such competitions and of moot courts.
So one concern a lot of students have is how to manage their time between classes and personal life and the competition as well.
For team moot, I think the most important thing is communication and getting everybody's schedules together and marked out certain dates that we have to check in on each other before the final submission. So I think communication and having a clear timeline is key to managing these things over a long period of time.
I think it's quite different in Indonesia, where the Moot competitions for national and international goals, the teams usually meet pretty regularly. So you do your research together and you do the discussions every day. In that regard, you will be sacrificing some parts of your life, either your studies or your personal life, or maybe you can sacrifice your sleep, which is also an option in my opinion. But I see it as an investment. You will not regret each and every minute and energy that you put into your moot when it's the D-Day of the moot competition during the all-around.
What skills do you think is needed to join moot competitions, if at all, and why?
For the Moot competition itself, I would think legal research is the fundamental skill that you need. Like what databases do you go to? And the next thing will be drafting to make sure that everything is clearly worded because that would be what you base your oral round on. The last thing would be given that most Moot involve a new area of law and many people might not be familiar with this area or even with mooting in general, I think a basic skill would be to reach out to people because there is always a network of support around you, especially in university.
I will be okay with adjusting my expectations for the first month or two in regards to having the skills to research, write, and also plead. But when you are willing to work hard and put in the effort and put in the time, by the third month, everybody's evened out.
If you don't have the inner desire to learn and improve yourself, you won't benefit from the competition. You should have the passion to improve yourself. Of course, you should have basic knowledge of legal concepts and basic skills, whether in writing or oral.
Finally, do you have any advice or words of encouragement for those who are interested in competing in moot competitions themselves but might be hesitant to join?
Most of the people who are hesitant to join moots, at least for NUS experience, would be the year ones because everybody wants to get good grades, right? And you're not sure in the first semester exactly how much time you need to spend hitting the books or how much you can afford to put in effort for a competition that you might not get good results for. So I think you just need to be clear of what you want because the moot competition is something you join out of your free will. And once you join, you need to be committed throughout because you cannot be non-committal and be a burden to your team.
One of the reasons why you should be joining the competition is because it's highly regarded by your recruiters, but you must also understand that there's 500 people graduating each year from your university. There's still a need for an extra hit to your CV or to your law school experience that will boost your application. It's a lot of work, but it's a very worthwhile.
Get out of your comfort zone. You will make connections with professional lawyers, with professors, with other unique law students, which will result in the benefit of your future career. Finally, try to apply what you study in classes in these competitions. That helps you to understand the material in a better way. Believe me, it will be an enriching experience in all aspects.